Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Heat Wave. 32 teams in 32 days. We are breaking down every single fantasy relevant player on each team for the upcoming season. Today, we are focusing on the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, the Fantasy Plug, Tim Petropoulos, editor-in-chief of BrotoFantasy.com and the Fantasy Football by Broto app. I am joined by the king of this fantasy thing and the lead fantasy analyst for Broto, Michael Petropoulos, my brother, of course, and the genius of fantasy, Broto lead data analyst, and the developer of the Fantasy Football by Broto app, Mr. Santiago Casanova. Speaking of the app, download the Fantasy Football by Broto app today for free and become your own expert to dominate fantasy football. Every stat you hear us use today can be found in the app, where there are player cards, fantasy player grades, usage charts, start sit tools, who to draft tools, player comps, podcasts, consistency charts, game logs, coaching tendencies, game logs. No, I already said that. Articles, rankings, waivers, and stats and advanced stats as my mom's house phone goes off at the moment, as you guys can tell right here. True throw value, true target value, true performance value, adjusted air yards, and true matchup rankings. This app is free because of our patrons over at patreon.com. Please join Patreon and support the show. It is only $3 a month, and you get an extra waiver wire episode, access to BRoto Leagues, leagues that are unique and don't suck, proven DFS cash game optimizers, access to cheat sheets, private team consultations, the most unique fantasy leagues in the world, and of course, access to the greatest community in the world, not just fantasy, but in the entire world, the Broto community on Discord. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the app, please consider your contributions go a long way. We are jumping into the Lions. And my nomadic lifestyle continues. I'm in my mom's house today. Because my baby is sleeping while we're recording, and I live in New York, so my apartment walls are thin, and I don't want to wake up my child, and that's why I'm at my mother's house right now. She's not here; she's in New Jersey. So, like when I used to throw parties here, I used to throw parties in this exact spot, and then I used to like the beer. I used to be like, "Yeah, we'll clean it," and then I cleaned it up. And then I would come home, and my mom would come home, and she'd be like, "Why is the entire floor sticky?"
To me and Johnny's version of cleaning is like a 4-year-old's version of cleaning. Like my mom will still, like, if we're like going like to her place or something, she'll be like, "Please leave it clean," and we're like, "Don't worry, it's me and Jason going," and she's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
like that actually
I'm
happened.
glad you said that, because my mom, I just saw her in Jersey on Thursday, and she went like this. She said, "Oh yeah, Michael and Jason told me they were gonna clean," and I was like, "Did they?" And she goes, "Yeah, their version of clean. I had to come and do everything." That was her exact words.
We cleaned.
All right?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, you clean like a 4-year-old. All right. Anyway, offensive outlook: Dan Campbell, year 2 of biting knees and taking names. Team played hard for him last season. New offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Anthony Lynn was the offensive coordinator last year, but he parted ways. It's kind of a mutual agreement. He's now the running backs coach for San Francisco. Good cushy spot there. Has Ben Johnson, the new offensive coordinator, has been the tight end coach for the Lions over the last 2 seasons under 2 different head coaches. So obviously made an impression. Last season, 25th in scoring offense and the 4th highest pass percentage in the league. Not surprising when you consider they gave up the 2nd most points in the league. They're basically running it back. They have no subtractions. They added DJ Chark. They drafted Jameson Williams, rookie wide receiver. He's not going to be ready for the beginning of the year. So, I mean, the Lions, it looks like it's going to be a lot of the same of what we saw last year. And, Jared Goff, 31st in true throw value, horrible numbers. Any way you slice him, he missed out in the top 10 of every single QB category, despite the fact that he started every single game. What is there to say about Jared Goff? Don't have him on your teams.
Yeah. I mean, Jared Goff had 3 QB1 performances last season, 5 outside the top 24 QBs, 22nd in points per game, 31st in true throw value, 32nd in big plays with just 3, 34th in yards per attempt. His 27th rank in ADP right now is correct. Like, that's how I feel about Jared Goff.
Yeah. So let's go on to running back. Running back, DeAndre Swift. I think here's a guy that I'm not as high on as consensus. I think that there's a lot of DeAndre Swift, a smaller back, and they're putting a lot of pressure on him to be the lone weapon in an offense. And to be honest, I know it's, I know he has the potential to be okay, but I think people are drafting him right now. I think his ADP is RB8 last time I checked. If someone could double check that for me.
That's
I
correct.
think, yeah, so RB8 last time I checked. I think that's his ceiling. Like you're talking about a satellite back. I wouldn't call him a satellite back. We're talking about a dual threat back that is not made for the punishment of carrying the ball 25 times. I think he's more suitable when I watch him play to be a Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon type situation. That's kind of what they wanted with Jamal Williams, but Jamal Williams is limited, talent wise. So, I just don't see the opportunity that the team is going to provide. Although I see DeAndre Swift as a very talented back who has Alvin Kamara like qualities. But I think people get a little bit too caught up in the talent and not on the situation enough. How are you feeling about DeAndre Swift this year, Michael?
Yeah, Tim. DeAndre Swift sort of suffers from what if syndrome, I
Right.
call it. It was the same thing as Antonio Gibson last season. It was the same thing as Miles Sanders the year before that. What if this is the year? What if this is the year he becomes Christian McCaffrey? What if this is the year he breaks out and I miss him because I didn't risk drafting him? Do you want to take that risk in the top 15 players? Because that's where he's going at this point. Like if you want DeAndre Swift, you either have to take him first round or early second round. And like that, I went through Tim. That's just too expensive for my taste. Look, I like DeAndre Swift, the talent, but look, last season he was 10th in points per game, target percentage of 13.2, which is fourth among running backs, which like that's what you guys should be hoping for from Aaron Jones this coming season. He was top 5 in targets, receptions, and receiving yards. The upside is there. It's the receiving work. However, nearly 40% of Swift's receiving work came in the fourth quarter, which was Lions in comeback mode. Like that's likely to happen again this year because it's the Detroit Lions, but banking on garbage time, like that's what we did with, remember the Blake Bortles, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns team, and then the next year they came crashing down and all of them basically sucked. Like they were just buoyed by garbage time volume stats, and that's almost half of DeAndre Swift's receiving work came during that time, which is a little bit concerning to me because like how, you know what, I should have looked this up. I didn't. Like what was his target percentage quarters 1, 2, and 3 compared to quarters 4? I'd like to see that. Was it 13.2% equally distributed? I highly doubt it. I feel like DeAndre Swift was likely targeted a lot more in the fourth quarter. So the pass catching work was really more like the lion's share of it. Get it? Lion's share was
Oh,
was when they were
woo!
was when they were trailing and not really
Oh,
out of.
Michael, whoa, what a great joke. Whoa.
It was more out of a necessity than it was a let's get like a straight implementation of Swift like in the first or second quarter as a part of their offense.
Can you tell the Lions one again?
Lion's share.
I got the stats for you. I was in the
Did
first
you?
quarter. Yeah, so in the first quarter,
Nice.
13 catches, 14 catches in the second, 11 catches in the third, 24 catches in the fourth. So you were definitely right.
It's concerning. Like I
Yeah.
think that's concerning, banking on garbage time work. And how many times last year were people who drafted DeAndre Swift like, oh damn, he's not really doing anything right now. And then the fourth quarter came and they were like, let's go, DeAndre Swift, baby. Like it's hard for me to trust someone like that. In his rookie season, he was 14th in target percentage at 9.8%. I do think a 11.5% ish kind of makes sense. Maybe he stays above 13% target share. That's just a little bit high, I think, for a running back who's not on the field like 70+% of the time. And they brought in DJ Chark and Jamison Williams, who's gonna start playing in the second half of the year. And DeAndre Swift, he graded pretty poorly in PFF rushing grades. Like he was not a good running back by their standards. He only had 6 rushing yards over expected on the entire season. He actually had a negative expected points added and a lower rush percentage than Jamal Williams. And I don't expect Jamal Williams to disappear. Jamal Williams is there to be an early down grinder type of guy. And why run your young running back into the ground when he's already missed time his first 2 seasons in the league? Like I don't expect his role to massively increase. So look, like everything I'm saying might sound like I don't like DeAndre Swift as a player. That's not true. I like DeAndre Swift as a player. I just think he's being drafted as absolute ceiling right now. And if I end up missing on DeAndre Swift, so be it. I just I'm not gonna draft him where he's going.
If DeAndre Swift was going at RB11 or I mean like RB14, I'm jumping all over that.
Yeah, I
But
mean that's
RB8,
like
you're drafting a ceiling.
third round. Sure, I feel like DeAndre Swift was even like I'd be most comfortable in the fourth round.
Yeah.
Third round makes sense. He's going like early second at this point, and I cannot pull the trigger on that.
No, me neither. All right, let's take a break. It's the Broto tip of the day. Today we're going to be going over the points tool. Do you want to see how many points a person has had and what kind of spike weeks they've had and where their average lies? Let me not tell you about it. Let our man right there. Hold on, this is an opposite screen here. Let our man right there show us all about it. Go ahead, Cass.
Yeah, so it is exactly what it sounds like. You pick a player, you pick a season, and you can see the points they've scored in that season, right? So every single week, and then you get a line for their points per game. So Derrick Henry, 2021, he had those massive spikes, a little bit bad at the end, but we all saw what happened. And you can see these points per game at 24.2, even with these low weeks over
In
here.
PPR, as a guy who doesn't catch passes, the guy's
Right.
animal.
Jamar Chase, look at this. Insane with an 18.8 points per game. You can
That scares
change.
me. You see that chart right there? That's the biggest thing that scares me about Jamar Chase. We'll talk about we already talked about the Bengals, did we? No. We will talk about the Bengals. I love Jamar Chase. I love him as a prospect. I think he's great. But this is the thing that scares me about Jamar Chase is how he's so spiky. And you know,
Very
that's
so
spiky.
spiky.
Yeah.
No, this is
I mean, look.
overly spiking it. I mean, look, that's 20, guys. That's 20 where the spikes are going.
That's true.
There's nothing wrong with 10 points in a week. The
Yeah,
guy was a
you're right.
rookie last year too.
Right,
We'll discuss
right.
Jamar Chase at another
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and at different time. But anyway, that's the last
Michael's
feature.
That's
You can
Michael's
check.
boyfriend, by the way. Just in case you guys are wondering, like him and Jamar Chase are having like
I
a
love
secret
Jamar
affair.
Chase. Yeah.
You can check an entire player's career as well. So not just a single season. Go get the entire career, and it's pretty cool. It makes for good analysis.
One of our special what did I call again? Virability clips. Yeah. All right. Mike, whoever's talking to you, tell him that you have Broto now. Leave you alone. All right. Let's go over.
It's my girlfriend. She's I'm typically the chef, and she's cooking today, and she's like, "Is the pork ready?" And she's like showing me a picture of the pork.
You can't eat undercooked pork, Michael. She does.
I told her put it in the oven a little longer. It's a little pink.
All right. Where were we?
Moving on to the wide receivers.
Okay, so I think the big question is here, like, even if DJ Chark does bounce back a little bit, how much are you expecting from him? And like, if you want to draft DJ Chark at ADP, his ADP is ridiculously low right now. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think we need to talk about him much. I think the question is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Won people championships last year, and you run the risk of that, like falling in love, and drafting a little too early. I've seen people draft him as soon as the fifth round. Although his ADP is not there, I've seen it happen with my own two eyes just because that person, Amon-Ra St. Brown, saved the day for them last year. How are you guys feeling about Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is he someone that can sustain?
I mean, definitely not the same level at which he ended the year. He was averaging like 12 targets. Like if you look at the week 13 on, he was 12 targets, 11 targets, 11 targets, 11 targets, and then just consistently top 10 every single time. That's not going to happen. We all know that, right? But I do think he is still being underdrafted. Like you said, there are some people that are drafting him way too early, but wide receiver 27 is a little low for what we've seen him do. I recently did a study, which I haven't published yet. So sneak peek for everyone watching this.
Ew.
On average, rookie wide receivers will increase their target percent year to year, like from year 1 to year 2 by 2%. If you filter a little bit, I'll get into the filters later when I actually publish this. It can be 3 really good wide receivers get to 5. So if we think he is very good, which I do think, and he increases his percentage by like 3-4 points, that's 24-25% target share, and that's elite target share for a wide receiver, right? So I don't expect him to be consistently getting 12-11 targets per game, but I also don't think he's going to finish around wide receiver 27, which is where he's getting drafted right now. I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown for this season.
Ooh,
He was a good prospect too. Like it didn't happen.
He was.
It didn't happen by accident. Like he
No,
was a
not
good
at all.
prospect. He had a great second half of the season, and like Cass always says, the wide receivers who get targeted a lot earn their targets, and maybe it was a little bit out of necessity last year, and people are a little worried now because of the new additions. But Jameson Williams is going to start on the IR, and DJ Chark, like he had that 1 year, but otherwise has not really been anything really, and I doubt DJ Chark is someone who's going to be the one who
No,
takes
not at all.
targets from Amon-Ra.
Like,
So
let
I'm
me
with
read
you,
you the
Cass.
comps. Like, for those who don't know, the comp algorithm takes into account the prospect profile of out of college and then the rookie stats. I'll read you who he compares to. So his comps go as follows: Brandon Ayuk, CD Lamb, Percy Harvin, Laviska Shenault, and Jarvis Landry, which are not gonna blow you away, but those are like very, very good, solid comps for a guy. And
All guys who also though, like I feel like had spike years, but then down years, and the spike years and then down years. That's what I'm worried about Amon-Ra. Like I could see it, and I love the same Brown family. If you've been listening to me, I talk about the same Brown family all the time. Their father married their mother, who was an Olympic athlete, a German Olympic athlete, just so they could have crazy athletic kids. My wife's a German athlete, by the way. Maybe we get a Petropolis in the draft. But besides that, where was I? Oh, change his name from Brown to Saint Brown because it would look better on a jersey. Has been training his kids since they were little kids.
Tim, it's like the 15th time I've heard this spiel.
I love the Saint Brown family. They're like crazy. They're like they don't. I don't know if I love them or hate them, but like either way, like it's a unique story. Yeah, I just don't know what to do with Amon-Ra this year, but
he's a solid wide
we'll
receiver
see.
too, in my opinion.
Okay, I like it. Let's move on to tight ends. I'm done playing.
Wait, hold on. I still got stuff to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Come on, bro. I'm thorough. Like, this is a promise of the Heat Wave.
Keep it
Every
thorough, bro.
single viable player.
That's right.
Keep it
Right,
thorough. That's
so-
what we do in Queens.
So DJ Chark, yeah, probably number 2. Who I'm very interested in is an absolute steal at wide receiver, 147 ADP.
Holy
Because
shit. Ooh.
Jameson Williams is probably going to start on the IR, so that means he's not eligible to come back until week 7. And that is if he's healthy by then, because the team said they were going to take it real slow with Williams.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. So Josh Reynolds, who had a 15.3 target share last season, which is respectable. It's very, very respectable. None of the wide receivers at Green Bay had that last year, just for comparison. So he had this 15%, and it's going at wide receiver 147. Just get him with your last pick and be happy when he has some usable weeks here and there. He's great. And regarding Jameson Williams, if he does come back healthy, I think he's gonna be a stud. But that's for a different day.
Agreed. And can I just say this? Stop drafting Jameson Williams. It's ridiculous. Stop it. He's not going to play for at least 6 weeks.
Yeah,
You know,
that's tough.
gonna
If you have an
stash
IR slot, but
You're going to
if you
stash a
don't-
rookie for 6 weeks?
It's tough. But
Yeah.
have
the
you seen his
Lions-
comps? His comps are insane.
I like
they're
Jameson
bananas.
Williams, the player. That's why I'll be probably
Yeah.
drafting him a lot next year. Or if you have him
Next
in
year.
Dynasty, then hell yeah.
Dynasty's cool. Yeah.
There's no
But,
reason to
it's
draft
tough.
him and redraft. I mean,
Because rookies take a while, right, to come into their own. Even Justin Jefferson didn't really play for the first 2 or 3 weeks. So if he's out 6 weeks, then takes 3 weeks to adapt, then he's on the Lions. I mean,
and you're talking about the best rookie wide receiver ever and how long it took him to adapt. Like it'll
Right,
probably
right,
take him
right,
more time
right.
than the best rookie wide
so
receiver.
yeah,
ever.
this is probably a wasted year for him. But going forward, he's gonna be sexy.
All right, let's go to someone I thought was gonna be sexy last year. Tight end TJ Hawkinson.
one
Look-
of my best bits of all time, man.
Yeah, man, that was
I was
something
an
else.
all timer.
That was an old timer. Michael just randomly tell the people if they don't know.
TJ Hawkinson had his best game of the year, weeks 1 and 2, and I told him in week 3, are you not a little scared that TJ Hawkinson just wasted his best 2 games of the year, his first 2 weeks? And then I did it after week 4, and then week 5, and then week 6, and then week 7, and then week 8. And the end of the season came with TJ Hawkinson having his best 2 games of the year as weeks 1 and 2. And Tim finally conceded that he was a little scared that TJ Hawkinson had his best 2 weeks, weeks 1 and 2.
It was quite the
after-
call.
And like week 17.
It's quite the call. I was feeling real
Oh.
good about my TJ Hawkinson call. Up until then, TJ Hawkinson, look, 500 yards when you're the only. Look, honestly, he cursed himself for being such a good all-around tight end. Like he's really good at blocking. It's a running team, and he's on the field all the time, but he doesn't get the targets. So I think that's what you're looking for, TJ Hawkinson. He's gonna cost you. his name's going to cost you. And I don't see myself with any TJ Hawkinson on my team this year because of that. I just don't see his name. His actual value does not meet his name value. So I think that because of that, I'm going to be taking either a tight end with my top picks, or I'm going to be waiting and taking a Austin Hooper or someone else like that instead.
Irv Smith.
Or an Irv Smith, right? Someone who I think has a little bit more upside. So that's how I'm thinking about TJ Hawkinson. How you feeling about it, Cass?
I mean, I'm kind of with you. The name pulls a little bit too much for what he is. He's being drafted at tight end 6. He was tight end 7 last year in points per game. He does still have an elite target share. I will say that he has almost 20% target share, which is pretty good, and that's why he's being drafted where he is. Can he meet? Maybe, but I think you're drafting at the ceiling and the floor at the same time. I don't see much range for Hawkinson. He is what he is. He's not gonna be winning you weeks. He's probably gonna lose you some. Not excited about it. Too expensive.
You guys know how I feel about Hawkinson generally. I'm just gonna add that, like, if he falls to like the 8th round, I don't really have an issue drafting him. I have him in a few underdog best ball drafts because he falls to like the 8th round, and at that point, I'm okay selecting TJ Hawkinson there. Remember, even though he's going as tight end 6, doesn't mean he's going too early, because tight ends generally suck. And the first 5, there's a pretty massive gap between the first 5 and then the rest of the folk there. So I'm not a huge TJ Hawkinson guy by any means. I'm probably not going to pick him at ADP, but if he slips past ADP by a round, then why not?
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add here?
Nope.
Bold predictions.
Let's get into the bold predictions. Michael, go ahead.
I'll say DeAndre Swift is not an RB1.
Well, that's my exact bold prediction as well. Thanks, Michael.
Cheers.
I actually said Swift is an RB2, but I'll go even further than that and say TJ Hawkinson ends outside the top 8 of tight ends.
Plausible. Harsh, but plausible. I'm going with the wide receivers to round us out. I say Amon-Ra is a very solid and even high-end wide receiver too next year.
Michael, I'm putting you on the spot, kid. Go ahead and sign us out.
Why? Okay. Broto FF Tim, Broto FF Casanova, Broto FF Mike, at Psychward FF, at Broto FF Jason, at Broto Fantasy, at FF by Broto. You know what I'm saying? Is that about it? We can move on to the next team. The Bears. The Bears ended off.
I predict the Bears is going to be the shortest episode of the year. We just had the longest episode with the Packers. I predict the Bears going to be a short one.
Yeah.
Possibly. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Hopefully
Remember, check us out on YouTube.